From Blade Scrounger here. Just wanted to give you a little look into the process of sometimes using some of these mystery steels that I talk about, salvaged metals, that we find work out great for. Typically, I use them for prototyping to get to the finished product. What you're looking at here is a piece of ice saw blade. Now, you buy these, thrift shops, flea markets, yard sales, and the price runs the gamut. Could be as little as $15 for one without handles, and as much as asking price of say like $100. So you have to do your shopping. This particular one was a 6-footer, and I paid $15 for it. Mystery steels come into play here, and one of the things you want to check is the hardness of the blade. And this baby is hard. I mean, this file doesn't begin to, get in any bite to it. So, and it's a high carbon steel. Typically, from what I can gather, this is probably an L6, and could be, some kind of other high carbon steel. It's definitely, flexible because it's built that way. I mean, definitely could be any other source. So that said, it's a mystery steel. I don't know what I have here. I do know I've made blades from it already, and the spark trail is like a fireworks shower on display, which is what you look for in high carbon content steels when you're grinding. They hold, the knives I've made from this particular piece hold an incredible edge for a long time. So, it works a lot like 1095. I know it's not 1095, but it works like 1095 when you're grinding it. So, that said, one of the things that I was trying to do is prototype a new style bushcraft knife. And, sometimes you just want to get out a quick model of it to test things. So, I don't put any effort into it. I just want to use it as a destruction test knife. And here it is. So I had a concept in mind that I wanted an anvil area right here in the knife that's curved. Why? Well, bushcrafters love to baton knives. I'm not saying that that's good, bad, or indifferent. It's just a fact. And if I had a hatchet, I'd be using a hatchet. If I had an axe, I'd be using an axe. But if all I had was a knife, I'd like to know that it could split wood. So, it served its purpose. It was a test piece. I went out and batoned a ton of wood. This is the same steel as that blade. It was a quick cut-off piece. You're not wasting, potentially $30 or $40 in buying a proper steel blank, from New Jersey Steel Baron. And if it's for naught, you've basically got a paperweight. Okay, so that worked out, and I had a concept in mind and went to a finished knife with the same steel. And this is not the final prototype, but it was a concept knife. So we refined it quite a bit and made some changes. So a lot more sweep here than the original blade that we saw. And it does have a flat grind instead of, a convex grind like the first knife. This is actually a saber grind. And handle was significantly changed and improved. More of a bushcraft style handle. The scales of micarta. And, it basically is about 3/4 of the scale that I wanted for the final knife. So, used it, tested it. A friend of mine, Roy Stroh, made spoons with it. A spoon, I should say, but it was an incredible job. It looked like something that was factory made. The idea is to extend the tang and use this as a bowl scoop, basically. Great for spoon making. So what you're doing is you're actually putting this in and varying the angles, and you can scrape out the bowl of a spoon with it. Also, you'll notice an indent here, and that was actually for shaving and shaping the stem of the spoon. So we had a few ideas, and played with it. Worked out great. Made a nice sheath for it. My buddy Lamont Coombs, participated in the project, and it's a Coombs sheath. And Lamont did some of the work on the knife also. Now we get into the final phase, and that is we come up with the plan. And this is the overall shape of the finished knife. It's a lot bigger, both in height, length, but you can see that we're on that theme, and we've made some more changes. We've extended the swoop and the end of the tang further, and definitely changed the profile of the indent. And once again, we've changed, the concept of the curve on the anvil part of the knife, and it goes to a full saber grind. It was, something that I felt would feel better in the hand. I have big hands, and a lot of folks don't, and this knife is just about at the limit for my hand for comfort. And somebody with smaller hands, I'm sure, it would be great. I take an extra large glove to give you some kind of idea. But there's guys out there that, their hands are massive. And you can always go bigger and comfortable. And but you can't, take a smaller knife and make it comfortable for somebody with big hands. So, once again, there's the change. So from this point, we wanted to do a production run of these knives. It had a pretty good idea of, where we were headed, and this was the final iteration. So, on to the final knife. This is the final knife. This is my personal knife. I fell in love with it, and it'll stay with me forever. It's not for sale. We did make a run of these. There were 5 of them that were made for sale. They had all kinds of different sheaths. And here she is. So Lamont Coombs Handmade, did the production run on this, and he ended up working with me, and we selected 52 100 steel, high carbon steel, for the final blade. And this thing is a beast. It is an absolute beast. As a bushcrafting knife goes, I think it has everything in it that you'd want. You can use this for a ferrocerium rod. Nice area, it gets full contact with the rod instead of just cutting a flat out on the rod. You're hitting the edges all around a half circle of it. The anvil is stiff spined. It's really thick right to the tip of the blade. So with an anvil, most bushcraft knives don't have the anvil shape. It's almost like a bird's beak in a way. You're striking when you're batoning on a square surface, and so you're not getting a lot of contact with a round piece of wood. You're barely just hitting it, and basically all you're doing is beating up your baton. With the anvil, because of the swoop or the curve to it, you're getting a lot more contact, and each blow becomes more efficient, and it cuts through the wood quite a bit better. It doesn't seem to take the baton and destroy it in the process. So we're going to take this thing outside. We're going to show you some, simple bushcraft applications for the knife, and I guess we'll wrap that up with just talking about the sheath that this one has. Great sheath, not made by me, not made by Lamont. It's actually a Pelosa leather company. I think you can probably see that now. And has a spot for a ferrocerium rod and has a spot for a diamond stone in it. And I think it's great. I think it's an awesome sheath, and I think it's an awesome design. It's kind of a Randall style sheath, and it just is so comfortable to carry. It's designed for a wide belt, and the thing's the bomb. This is one of the concept sheaths that we made, more of a traditional bushcraft sheath for this knife. So I have both, and just a nice clean look, typical bushcraft style sheath. And again, you probably can't see it here, but I'll point it out. This is by Lamont Coombs, who not only is a knife maker, but an excellent leather worker. His leather work is just incredible and beautiful. Okay, well, we're going to have to head outside and put this thing through its paces. Thanks for watching this part, and we'll go on to the next.